Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we getting on? So, I'm sure you've read the title already. As you are well aware, Bethesda have updated the PTS last night with some very, very cool changes I think we're going to be quite excited for. So, let's jump in and take a look at this stuff, shall we? Okay then, so we have a couple of changes, as I say, mentioned in the title that are very, very cool, and I think a lot of us are going to be very happy about. There's also a couple of other updates that we mentioned in the last video that have come to the PTS as well now, which are cool, steps in the right direction, so we'll touch on those. And we'll have a look at a couple of other bits and pieces as well. So, let's get cracking. So, over to the forums, maintenance for the public test server. So, we're updating the PTS yesterday at 2 PM Eastern Time. While in maintenance, you'll be unable to access the PTS, blah blah blah. Yeah, we know all about that stuff. Post high-level patch notes for you both here and on the official Discord. I can't find them on the Discord. They're there somewhere, but I can't find them. I have seen somebody else has found them, so not a thing I'm best pleased about the change to the Discord. Finding stuff like this is kind of a nightmare, so I don't know, maybe I just need to figure it out. Anywho, interesting stuff. Notable changes. Based off player feedback, that's the idea with the PTS, we are making some changes to the Legendary Core drop system and increasing the script limit to help players more easily get components they need for the Legendary crafting system. In addition to that, we are also increasing the limits for a few other currencies as well. So, confirmed via the Discord here, and I saw it on Twitter, but you know, there we go. That these changes are coming to the coming to live along with the Steel Rain update at the end of July. So a little bit of a wait, but the finalised version of this, it could be tweaked between now and then, will be coming to live. So that's cool. This is not just a testing thing. That's always nice to hear. So, currencies, caps. The max cap limit has been increased from 30,000 to 40,000. So that's only a little change, 10k. If you can hit 30,000, you can hit 40,000 reasonably easy. I would compare this to the changes over the last couple of years, in fact, with the stash limit. It's only been a small increase each time, which has been really nice to have, but we still ended up at that cap, the stash limit. Or at least I have, anyway. So in the same way, I think this will kind of apply to the caps as well. You'll still be able to hit that limit reasonably easily. But with the Aristocrat's new legendary effect hitting its maximum strength, I suppose, at 29,000 caps, basically you get 50% extra damage or damage resistance or something to that effect at 29,000 or above. That gives you a little bit more headroom and a bit more wiggle room in maintaining the right level of caps. So that's a good little change. It'll make that more practical to maintain, which is cool. So the next one is Gold Bullion. The daily vendor cap has been, the daily, the amount of treasury notes you can turn in at the gold press machines, that's, I think, what they're referring to here. Certainly seems to be the case. It has been increased from 200 to 400, so you can get twice as much gold bullion every day. So that's 40 treasury notes in short, which is very, very cool. Additionally, the max player cap for Gold Bullion has been increased from 5,000 to 10,000, so you can walk around with twice as much of it in your pockets, which is awesome. So that particular part I think is the least significant change. I mean, being able to gather the bullion faster means you can get over there and get the plans you want and move towards getting that fancy high-end gear a little bit quicker. Carrying more around, kind of a non-issue in a sense from my perspective, because there's no limit to the treasury notes you can carry, so just carry those if you're running out and don't turn it in. And if you've got something specific you want to buy, you'll turn it into bullion, you'll go buy it. So it kind of solves its own problem that way. But it's a thing, nonetheless. And I think that being able to turn in 400 rather than 200 is the big thing here, and definitely very, very cool. And the same sort of thing applies to Scrip, but in a really big way. So the daily vendor cap has been increased for Legendary Scrip from 150 to 300, so that's been doubled as well. We can now claim twice as much Scrip per day, or we will be able to once the update goes live anyway. If you're on PTS, you can do it right away, but, you know, it's not really worth it, as that'll get wiped out as soon as the PTS gets closed, so swings and roundabouts. But once the update drops, nonetheless, we will have this increase, which is awesome. Additionally, also very cool, and I think this one is a little bit more weighty than the Gold Bullion one. Probably an interesting choice of words there, but okay. Additionally, the max player cap for Scrip has been increased from 1,000 to 5,000, which means you'll hit that limit much less often, and you'll be able to claim a lot more legendaries or legendary cores or whatever, not legendary cores, legendary modules rather, from the purveyor in one go. So yeah, carrying around a lot more Scrip, 5 times as much in fact. Point of note here, the amount of legendary gear you can get for 5,000 scrip is sufficient that most players will very, very rapidly end up over-encumbered. So you might want to keep that in mind when this update actually goes live, because if you do let yourself hit that 5,000 scrip limit and then go and turn it all in fact, you probably won't even have to turn anything like all of it in order to find yourself unable to move because you've got so much legendaries on you. And of course, the daily turn-in limit still being at 400 worth can mean that you won't be able to shift things as fast as you can acquire them once you start spending all your scrip. It's a bit of a thing, you know. Quite whether or not the solution is to then further increase the daily script limit, I don't know. There's pros and cons to both, but something to bear in the back of your mind. Either way, caps, gold, bullion and script, the daily limits and the carry capacity for them is going up, which is really, really cool. Actually, to be fair, the daily limit for caps is not going up, it's just the carry capacity, the individual player capacity. But definitely a cool change, one we're very excited for, and I know a lot of people have been gagging for a long time. My take on the numbers they've chosen, i.e. doubling the daily amount, is I think that's probably a good balance for now. I've said before, I don't think they should overdo that. The idea of having it spread out over time so that you have to work towards your goal of getting that item, whatever it may be, keeps people playing for longer, it gives them something to work towards. I know it's a bit artificial, it's not a perfect scenario, we've covered this enough times before, but at the same time, if you can just get it like that, you won't value it, and people will drop off the game even faster in between updates, and yeah, not good for the health of the game. So, a good balance, I think, here. As I say, it might change over the next 2 months or so, but nonetheless, very, very cool. Very, very happy to see this. So, moving on, Legendary Cores. I mentioned the other day that Legendary Cores were not dropping at anywhere near a fast enough rate. In 2 hours, I didn't even manage to get a single one. Granted, I'm not sure whether or not this is exactly the right call here, that we're going to have a look at in a sec, but being able to actually get them at all is definitely a step in the right direction. So there might be some fine-tuning here, but we shall see. Somebody in chat did suggest a very, very wonderful suggestion that I thought was a good idea of removing the star rating for Legendary Cores. And, you know, because currently you can get a 1-star, a 2-star, or a 3-star Legendary Core, and it has that. It applies that number of stars to whatever item you're equipping it on. The suggestion that I read was to just have blanket legendary cores that are all the same, and if you want a 3-star you have to use 3 of them, if you want a 1-star you just use 1. That would probably be a bit more practical way of doing it, and I like this idea. I'm sure there are pros and cons that I have yet to consider, but that's not in here, it's just a thought. I thought I'd mention it as an interesting idea. Also partly in case anybody from Bethesda happens to see this. Food for thought for those guys. So, Legendary Cores. The drop rate has now been increased, which is awesome. They are now guaranteed drops from all public events, that being the ones with the little exclamation mark inside the icon on the map, and they also appear on the public event tracker thing in the bottom corner where the daily ops are, you know. So, any of those will drop you Legendary Cores. Some events will drop more than one Legendary Core by default. Cool. Maybe a little OTT, possibly. It might be a little too fast, that. Too much grinding sucks, we know this, but not enough, again, devalues it. So, balance to be struck. I haven't tried it out, so I don't quite know how that feels yet, but it's a thing for Bethesda to consider, for us to consider, so on and so forth. So, just a thought. Others will drop additional cores depending on the success of the event. So there are some things that, like Radiation Rumble's a good example. It has sort of tiers of success, and several other public events also have tiers of success. So, much like Daily Ops do actually, but they haven't mentioned Daily Ops here. I'd be interested to see whether or not that does apply to Daily Ops though. So, yeah, you're going to get 1 core bare minimum for completing an event, and the more success you complete the event with, depending on the event, you'll get more cores, which is really, really cool. Makes farming them a lot more practical than it was, well, up until yesterday anyway. So, little note, mostly for people who are playing on the PTS this one, cores obtained before this update, i.e. before last night, will be listed as depreciated legendary cores and will no longer be usable, so at least you'll be able to tell if they're useless. It applies to the PTS only and will not make it into the live game, so it's just a practical thing for the PTS. However, we're also granting new characters for you to use on the PTS with updated cores, so it won't actually hit you too hard anyway. So, pre-made PTS characters, come on, scroll, thank you, Along with the legendary core changes above, we've added another PTS character, another pre-made character rather, to your PTS account. Named Legendary Cores, imaginative, it's stocked up on legendary cores and legendary modules, so you can dive into the legendary crafting system in the test server. Obviously, these won't port across to live, they're just so that we can get stuck in and actually use the system and test it. I'm grateful for this because I want to do this. So, high-level patch notes. So these are the more global changes. Some of these fixes contain spoilers for the Steel Rain quest line. So basically there's a set of quest ones just down below. I will not talk about those here, but I will link this article down below, and it's easy enough to find on the forums if you'd like for now anyway. So if you do want to read it, by all means head on over there and read it. It's related to bugs in specific quests in the Steel Rain quest line, so if you're not playing on the PTS, not that relevant to you. If you are, then you make your own decision on the spoilers, I guess. Anywho, so the first thing they're changing is weapon change. Area of effect attacks will now only damage weapon condition once per shot. Hell yes! So that means those explosive weapons of yours will no longer shake themselves to bits. Or, more to the point, those explosive weapons are mine! So that is a really, really cool change, one the community has been crying out for a goodly long time now. So really, really happy to see that come into the PTS and coming with the Steel Rain update in July. So fantastic to see that. Really, really good news. Perks. Cannibal. They've addressed an issue where using the Cannibal perk could control lock the player. Specific, but if you're a cannibal character, that should be interesting for you. And then we have the quest ones, which I will skip over. As I say, if you want to see them, link below. UI changes, not massively fascinating. They've addressed an issue where certain mod effects remain displayed in the Pip-Boy after the mod is removed from the equipped weapon. So, for example, the type of scope you've got on there. So, the UI should update correctly when you're changing the mods on a weapon. Cool. Elemental damage resistance is now correct when crafting a mod equipped to an armor piece. So, if this is a UI issue, I'm guessing it wasn't displaying correctly rather than not functioning correctly. So good to have that actually shown, so you can actually figure out what the hell's going on with your armor if you're into diving into your stats in that way. So good little fix. And vending. Items for sale preview now correctly updates when items are purchased at a vendor. That's a little obscure. Either you'll know what that means or you won't. And I think, largely because I don't. But there we go. And one more change, that is a world issue addressed an issue where a particular new character's idle voiceover can be heard from very far away. So there we go. So ultimately, this is quite a short and sweet little set of changes, but emphasis on the sweets. Those currency additions are absolutely fantastic, very, very cool. Changes to the legendary cores are definitely a step in the right direction. We'll have to see how the balance goes on that, but I wholeheartedly approve of that. I am not surprised to see that change. It's pretty much exactly what I expected them to be doing. They just did it slightly faster than I thought they would. So that's cool. The new PTS character is a good addition too. As for the other changes, I think the big thing there is the area of effect on weapons not shaking them to bits anymore, assuming this implements properly and everything goes well with it. But they've got a couple of months to test it out, so very, very cool. Very, very happy to see that. Yeah, really happy with this little update. Small, but focused on really, really cool things. So good work on Bethesda's part there. Very much appreciate it. So, I will wrap this one up there. Thank you very much for watching. Do hope you found this useful and informative, and do hope you folks are as excited about these changes as I am. I think they're absolutely brilliant. If you did enjoy the video, please do consider dropping me subs and likes and any shares you might wish to spread around. It's always very, very much appreciated, very, very helpful. So massive thank you to those who are doing that. Social media links, the merch store and channel memberships are also available down below the video as well. If you're interested in supporting the channel in that way, it massively helps out and I really, really appreciate it. And if you get the chance, as always, do join us for live streams as well. We've got some very, very cool stuff coming up. Playing on with Fallout, we have started Mass Effect 2 via the Legendary Edition as well, so that is very, very cool. Hope you'll join us for those. But for now, thank you very much for watching. I look forward to speaking to you all very, very soon.